When guests order a drink, they're not just buying liquid in a glass, they're buying an experience. Your beverage program is the backbone of that experience. And as a bar manager, you are the architect.
Welcome. This is Bar Manager's Notebook.
A great beverage program isn't just about tasty drinks. It's strategy, it's branding, it's profitability, all wrapped in one. And what about your menu? Your menu is a silent salesperson that, if it's done randomly, well, it might or might not generate you a random profit. But if it's done well, it will print you money. But what's the menu for? The menu is for the guest in order to gain the trust with the guest. It should help the speed of service and eventually the profitability and efficiency from the financial perspective. Therefore, you're gonna have three lenses when you're building your menu: guests, operations and service, and finance. Building and creating a menu from scratch, it's one of the processes I love the most. I love the creative part, I love the back end of it, I love to share it with the team, and I love to share it with our guests. And one of the questions I get asked the most is, how many cocktails should I have on my menu? Or do I need a strong concept? Or do I need an exotic concept? And I'll break it down for you in this to the first part, and then the second part, equally important, on design, storytelling, and pricing. So going back to it, do you need a concept or no? Well, you don't necessarily need a concept that is extremely crazy or exotic. You can have easy concept as well, which might be just generated by the venue you're in. Maybe I'm gonna use my example as a Italian. So let's say I have an Italian restaurant. I could just make simple beverages and using Italian ingredients and some old beverage that we used to use, and maybe make a menu off of it, of twist on it, or just simply like a reproduction of some of it and some ideas, because I'm using some of the element and make them, let's say, elevated and improved version, let's say, right? So it could be as easy as that, or it could be like as extreme as making different series of menus that goes year by year, they change, but they have a through line that you will follow. And there's great example like, Mr. Lion did a great series, or the Gleneagles Hotel did a fantastic series. So there is definitely like plenty of example out there. It's also fine to have like, just a one-off menu or easy beverage, but still connected with you. It doesn't need to have a story behind it. It could just be simply connected with what you convey to your guests. Like, I'm an Italian venue and I will put out just some cocktails that have this Italian influence in and out. Be careful, word of advice, obviously don't create this connection, like you declare that you're gonna have a menu that maybe is Italian inspired and then you're gonna use, all Japanese product. That's a disconnection and it could create confusion to your guest. Next, very important, how many cocktails, how many drinks should I have? Here's the thing, it really depends as well on what type of venue, who you convey to at the end. So the first thing is like, are you changing your menu every 3 months, every 6 months, every year? If you change it every 3 months, because maybe you're going with seasonality, that's absolutely fantastic, but then don't overcomplicate your life with 25 drinks. Maybe make it like a 6, 7, 8 drinks. They change maybe, right? And then you have 2 or 3 staples that they're gonna be there the whole year. If you change every 6 months, maybe you have enough time to change at 12, 15 drinks all at one go. If you do a year, maybe you change 15, 20 drinks all in one go. I found that pretty much 12 could be a good number if you wanna do like, kind of a rotation, because you could work around 3, 4 drinks are your staple, your core that will stay with you the whole year. 6 to 7 drinks might change. Then you're gonna have maybe 1, 2 option low ABV, unless you're already included into the 6, 7 drinks. And then you're gonna offer like 2 or 3 drinks, maybe non-alcoholic. I did personally a few menu where I didn't have a section for non-alcoholic. I just offered the same drinks that we used to make, also in a non-alcoholic version, making it easier for our bartender and for our guests to choose as well, so that they felt that they're never left out during their experience. Another important thing, as I said, to keep in mind is who you conveying to. What type of venue are you? Let's say you're a brunch venue. Maybe your focus has to be on the brunch style cocktail. You are like a pre-theater, pre-dinner crowd. It's your big chunk, for example, where you make the most of your profit. So you need to convey to that crowd. Maybe you're an after dinner venue. Maybe you're a disco. Maybe you are just a cocktail bar where you have like industry people. So those are all important details to keep in mind in order to tailor your experience in terms of the experience you want to offer to your guest. So definitely you need to keep that in mind. Next, another thing that's very important is when you're gonna write, regardless from, let's say, what people you have to convey to and things like that, very important when you write the menu, please obviously write the name. It doesn't matter, sometimes it might be a bit more complicated or not. Advice, maybe write a pronunciation next to it. Could be a fun way to engage. Not though on 10 cocktail menu, let's say 10 cocktails and then all 10 they have a pronunciation, otherwise your menu becomes difficult. Maybe 1 out of 10 that becomes fun. The other part is obviously very important when you write it, like, highlight the hero ingredients, and careful to the colors. Sometimes I have difficulties myself to read menus because there's a clash of color and you barely can read that. So also that one very important. And with this actually attaching in design as well. Do you need a design very complex or no? Again, it really depends what the economic possibility you have, and obviously again, make it clear, make it nice, make it available also online, people can see what you do. So that's definitely important. And obviously make sure that when you read it, it flows well, regardless if there's a story or not. Like, it has to flow well, right? So like, where do you place your cocktail? First page, second page, snack first, or wines, or things like that. All these little details are very important in order to send a message to your guest. Storytelling. Storytelling is important if you made a concepted menu on, let's say, something. So let's say that we talking about Rome, I'm using still my background, and then we're gonna make a menu that is touching all the different Roman Empire king, for example, and then we touch each one of them. So maybe you can create, a story that moves through all of them, and it could be fun, it could be important. Maybe you're gonna make some extra material online, Instagram, or you're gonna do some stuff on your website, or maybe you're making a menu that it opens as a pop-up book, like with Rome, an ancient Rome basically, and every page you flip it's basically a different era. Those are just simply ideas, but again, it's how you're gonna convey your design and storytelling together in this case. Now, lastly, but extremely important, how you price your drinks and how you're gonna balance your menu. Well, you need to balance your menu, going back to the fact that your 12 drinks and stuff like that, on crowd pleaser and also experimental menu. And again, it really goes against to what type of venue you are. If you are fully experimental, then at that point, you can have 1 crowd pleaser and let's say 9 experimental, using an example of 10 cocktails. But if you are, let's say, you want to be balanced, maybe you do like 6 crowd pleaser and then 4 experimental. Also because you will need to balance them, because maybe one costs more, one costs less, and if the one that costs less is the most popular one, it will help you rebalance and have fun with this drink that costs a little bit more into production, or maybe more into prep or things like that. Which brings me to, how do I price my cocktails or my menu in general? You could do like in different ways. Obviously, the first important thing is like you have to cost every single thing, period. But also, let's say you could say like, oh, I need to generate 80% profit, so you will keep all your costs under, let's say, the 20%. It is one way if you don't have enough time or things like that, but very like broad. You should be a bit more specific. So let's say if you have $10 cocktail you're pulling out, it means you have $2 to basically like use into the production of their drinks, and you always generate 80% of profit every time you sell it. That's one way. I don't think it's perfect in nowadays world. You have to balance everything so that you can actually play a little bit more with certain things, and I think you should obviously, which we'll see in a second, how to balance it and why some stuff can cost more, some stuff can cost less. And then again, pricing will be very important according also what type of venue you are. Another thing is also price strategy, very important. Some places they have flat line, oh, we sell all of them 15. Maybe it's fine, maybe not. Obviously you have to work on the back end. And instead of other cases you have a fluctuation, like, one is 22, one is 18, one is 19, one is 15, and things like that. And these help you to balance on your percentage on the back end. You will see also in some places you actually find some price strategy, like, instead of 15, 14.99, 7 is going to be 6.99. So like kind of like you see at the store. It is also a technique applied to bars, and again, it doesn't apply to every single bar. I don't think if you go to a classy bar, let's say to a 5-star hotel, you're gonna put like $13.99. It doesn't really match the vibe. It doesn't match your menu, your style, who you want to convey to. But maybe into an happy hour situation, into like a street bar, maybe it does make absolute sense. So you have to keep in mind all those things when you start building your menu. Pricing and costing is extremely important for us. As we've seen a few episodes back, you have to keep in mind what's your target is going to be for the financial year. Let's say if you are an independent, it will be different if you are an hotel. It will be different if you're a larger bar chain, if you are just a restaurant chain, and so on and so forth. So you have to keep those targets in mind. An example, as we've done last time, it might be for a hotel, let's say cocktail, you might be between 17 to 25% cost. Beer on tap might be 20 to 28. Beer by bottle could be between 19 to 24. Wine by the glass could be between 18 and 25, different if you're talking about by the bottle. But this is just to keep always in mind where you're going to price it. In addition to that, you have to remember that there are some costs that they are hidden, and not all the bar managers sometimes spot them until the very last second. One of them is like ice, garnishes, wastages. Especially nowadays that we apply different techniques and we have rotova, we have sous vide and things like that. You might start with a 700 ml bottle and then actually end up with 600 ml at the end, or 500 ml. Well, you had a loss, you need to account for it, therefore you will have to create the margin according to that 500, 600 ml, not anymore onto the 700, right? So that's just a small example, but all those costs, they're hidden and they add up when you're gonna make your cost and then eventually generate your profit. So as we've done on other episodes, I will show you here a little example of this. Let me just pull that one up for you. Voila. Here we go. So this is an example of what I've done in the past. So for example, we have this drink, we have, my take on small things. So we had the rum. You can see I put, for example, some ABV. We got the bottle price. We have the measure in milliliters. That's easier for me. I have a formula already built in for the unit of alcohol you will have. The cost per milliliters, you will put the milliliters you will need, will give you what's the cost for that pour, and so on and so forth. I can more than happy to share also those information if you want to know more, or like the formulas, just write it underneath on the comment eventually, and I am more than happy to share that to give you some head start. And then you will have here total cost of the liquor, and then you will have a cost of a garnish. So in the cost of a garnish, I might add the ice, I might add, for example, a lime or whatever it could be. Let's say that we're gonna use, in this case, we use a foam. So the foam has been built in here. What would be the cost to make that siphon? We'll divide it on how much we wanna put, and then so on and so forth. You can see, so I don't have that garnish here because it's already included into the drink. Another situation, you can see here, for example, I have an 80 cents in there, and so on and so forth. You calculate. Even you could calculate to the extent even to a dry lime. For example, you take a lime, let's say your lime, it costs, let's call it 50 cents. you cut 10 slices and then you will dehydrate them, and your slice will cost 0.5 cents. That one you can add it onto your drink as well. You can also take a little bit extra just to be safe and to build it in, and then eventually you can create obviously your pricing. If it's 23, if it's 22, if it's 18, you would see like your cost, your net profit cost going up and down, things like that. So that's how you can basically have it. And I personally, I'll show you something just to have it also in the back of the mind. For example, I have a full-on built-in basically from that spreadsheets. If we fill directly on the other spreadsheet, you can put the quantity sold, the period of time, how much it was, the costing, and obviously total profit, categories. So this one is going to the menu engineering, and then you have also like how it basically like what sell the most or not, and that will help you deciding if a menu after 6 months, 8 months you want to change something. That's also how to change it. Slightly different concept in case you have a menu that has to be there for a year, also for sponsor purposes or like collaboration and things like that. But there's also a way to work around it and maybe create a new cocktail, but still like with that base spirits. Different if you have a menu that's been printed out and made bespoke for that. But if you have the possibility to change it, you definitely can use also that strategy as well. And this is what concern costing every cocktail, why it is so important. If you cost them all, if you cost them correctly, then you can really tell how much they're generating for you. Don't forget, as we said last time, also keep a log if there's wastages. It definitely helps you to know the real cost at the end. I want to add a word on seasonality, batching, and specials. Seasonality, unless your menu change every 3 months, it's also a nice way to keep things interesting, fresh, and also within the cost. You can keep your team engaged because you can go into test basically every month to change, I would say, 20% of your menu. It's a good amount. It keeps it interesting, it keeps fresh, as I said, for the team, for the staff to learn also on the floor, and also to keep the cost down, because you might have some item that goes out of season, so you have something new and fresh. Again, very fun to do within a menu. Or maybe you have already a drink in the menu that already every season change. So another fun way to work in your menu and generate a great profit as well. Batches, very important nowadays to keep consistency, to keep speed, efficiency, but it has to be done mindfully. What I mean by that is you need to create this batch, has to be done right every single time. It has to be tasted and checked. It's very important to keep the right ratio, not to invent them, to keep the right item and ingredients used inside, adjusted if needed, because maybe if you use something that needs a little bit more acids or things, so obviously check them, and you can use tester and things like that. But they definitely do help with, especially situation where you have standards that you need to deliver drink in a certain amount of minutes. It definitely help. I still like to see certain drink built from scratch, and I think that's also the way how it should be. Another word of advice on batching, please do not add any citrus in there. They do deteriorate, they do oxidate, so please don't use them. They make your drink bad after really like hour after hour. So don't do it. Follow a good protocol for that. Also, when you can them or you put them into a bottle, please do be careful. The fact that you put them in a can or into a bottle, they don't make them more stable, even if you put your citrus. So, just a little word of advice on that. Special, similar to seasonality. If you don't work with seasonality, specials are a great way to work also with brands. Maybe you want to test out a product, an activation, and it's a good way to, again, keep your bartenders engaged, establish a new relationship with a brand maybe, and do something fun for your guest. Something that, you tested out something and maybe just go for a month. We did for 2 years ago, we did a nice summer season, for example, testing out different drinking on a nitro keg. That was fun just to see our guests, how they were reacting. They took it really well, they sold well, we had a good margin. So at the end, everybody happy. collaboration and innovation are two very important parts into our beverage program. How do we collaborate? Well, a couple of things that come to my mind is collaborate with brand. Maybe you're gonna do your specials. Maybe you're gonna do an activation, and the activation is gonna involve for sure your bartenders, because you might need some drinks to be made, so you want to involve them and make them creative. It's gonna involve marketing, so maybe your marketing in your venue and the marketing of the brand, maybe connecting to make it a beautiful activation. It's very important. I think like it could be great result. Another way to collaborate, it's go and take part into competition. You see what other people do, take inspiration from them, talk to them and see what they do, share some information, and you will be surprised how many times actually some of those people you meet eventually become collaborator, like at work. Maybe you become teammates somewhere, maybe you become the bartender of someone, maybe you find a bartender you would love to have within your team. So those are great way really to connect. And how to innovate instead? Again, it starts from that collaboration part, but also like, partially studying, doing some R&D, do R&D yourself, do like, you can test out some stuff, but also involve your staff so that you can talk together about something you're working on, or if they have any idea that you can help them develop. That's actually a very fun process and part. Obviously, word of advice, keep also in mind when you change menus so that you give yourself enough time to test things, to prepare them, I would say have the idea, test them, taste them correctly, final tasting, and eventually have all the number run before you send everything to print. That is going to be before you launch the menu. And it gives you enough time to obviously safeguard basically your costing, your margin, if everything has been respected, and really set you on the right path. Most importantly, all this innovation and collaboration boost the team morale and make them feel part of something, and it protects your culture. So that is very important as well. If this episode was helpful to you, please press like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and most importantly, tell me what's the drink that sells the most in your venue, why, what's the story behind. And remember, your beverage program is your signature. Make it beautiful, make it profitable, make it yours.